Okay, this video is going to be on the tools for decoding. It's a collaboration um, of all the videos I put out for tools for decoding. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just going to utilize the probably the most popular um, symbols that they use in Hollywood. So in Hollywood, they use these symbols to hypnotize us, to put us to sleep, or to motivate us to go a certain way, right? Just like a hypnotist utilizes certain signs and symbols to hypnotize somebody, like in a magic show. Um, it's there, it's real. Other people in the community have identified or did videos on it as well. I like to just instead of doing a movie decode, I like to just pick out the things that people can actually utilize themselves and do their own decodes. So I'll identify all the symbolism found. For instance, the rabbit. Right, the rabbit. We all know the rabbit's a very common theme in cinema and Hollywood and all that stuff, like Follow the Right Rabbit, Bugs Bunny, all that stuff. Okay, so what the rabbit means, um, symbolically speaking, through to the occult or through Hollywood, um, it's the opposite of God. So the rabbi is God, right? The master Jesus, and the rabbit is the opposite. It even sounds like rabbi and rabbit, right? And so the rabbit is associated to the inferior brain, our inner Christ, right? Um, Anatomically speaking, the inferior brain looks just like Jesus on a donkey, looks like Christ, or even Christ crucified. The biblical story is written within as well. So um, Hollywood and the occult, they utilize the rabbit, and they always associate it to the head, somewhere near the cranium, whenever they identify it in movies, usually. But ultimately, it's the opposite of Christ. That's what it means. Um, a good case and example is Easter, right? So you have Easter, they celebrate the Cadbury bunny for some strange reason, and lays eggs, um, or that's all that fertility connection and all that stuff. And then you have Passover, which is the true holiday, correct? God's holy days, feast days. Those are the real holidays which we should be celebrating. Um, but here in America, we're brainwashed and we celebrate the secular holidays, which are the Antichrist holidays, the changings of dates and times. Correct? So when we do that, we follow the white rabbit. You can either follow the AC, the white rabbit, or the rabbi, the Christ, the true Christ. And in this particular picture, you have the rabbit. You even have your American star or your Baphomet star, and it's associated to the cranium. Okay, so next one. Oh, before we go to that, the rabbit also associates with time, a time marker. Hollywood uses the Chinese zodiac or the Chinese calendar. Um, the rabbit, the chicken, and the monkey, they all have double meanings. But the original, or not the original, but one meaning is the time, the year of the chicken, the monkey, or the rabbit. But the double meaning, or the true meaning behind it, is the AC connection with the rabbit in particular. Okay, the second one we're going to study is the dog. Or in Hollywood, they like to hide the dog in different dog elements, like the hot dog. Still means the exact same thing. Dog backwards is God. So what's your backwards God? The dog, right? Your Antichrist, another Antichrist type symbolism. Um, the dog is also referenced to the Sirius ritual, the dog star, which is Sirius, and then Orion, the hunter, and his dog, which is in Sirius. So it's a Sirius ritual. And that's the reason why they always say, "Why so serious?" Or "Are you serious?" It's almost in every single film. Somebody will emphasize the word serious because it represents the same thing. It's a serious ritual. Okay, just go on to the next one. Or is the horse, right? So you have all the horses, all different colors in movies, but there's always usually a horse, some random horse in a movie, some way, shape, or form. Um, so that's a really easy one to identify. So if you know anything about the Bible, Revelations, that there's four horsemen of the apocalypse, and that's what it symbolizes. Whether they're on a white horse, a black horse, a red horse, or a spotted or a pale horse, that's what it symbolizes. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, always. Okay, so just like in this movie, Nope, that's exactly what it was referencing. Okay, here's another way they utilize the horse. They'll symbolize it in cars, like the Mustang, or in probably most movies, if not all movies, there's always a Jeep Cherokee. Why? Because the Cherokee were horsemen, right? It's just another way of saying the horseman or the Mustang. Okay. Um, let's see. They also use the Lincoln in movies, the Lincoln Town Car, because they're linking one time period to another, which we've gone over before. And there's also a copper element to that I'll touch on in a little bit. And they also utilize the train. The train represents a transit vehicle, just like all these vehicles do too, meaning it's linking one time to another, like the DeLorean, like linking 911 to COVID-19, and all the similarities that link that together. That's what that symbolizes. And I'll touch more on that in a minute as well. Just want you to be mindful of the programming out there that you'll see over and over and over. When you're mindful of it, you can discern it. When you start discerning it, you're not under its spell. You break the spell. Okay, so the bridge. There's every single movie. There's a bridge. Almost every single movie. I'm saying every single movie. Uh, there's always a bridge, and usually it's the crashing of a bridge. So a bridge is, like I said, a transient vehicle, but it's not a transient vehicle. It's just it symbolizes the same meaning, linking one time to another. And so when they want to change the timeline, they crash the bridge. And I've seen a movie where they utilized it. Even they symbolized this with a bridge of a nose, and they broke the nose. So breaking of the bridge is breaking the timeline. And how do they do that? Check this out. And in a lot of movies, they use the Golden Gate Bridge more often than not. Don't know why. Well, I do know why, so this is why. But I didn't know why for the longest time, except for the fact that bridges one time to another. Um, this is why. So they use the Golden Gate Bridge as symbolism for um, assembling DNA, Golden Gate cloning, where they assemble and reassemble DNA. Um, it's mind blowing. This is a great little article to look at, from cloning to modifying. All right, kind of reminds you of some kind of miracle drug that they used on us recently. That a lot of people, conspiracy type people, supposedly, or leaning towards what that particular drug did, and I believe that's exactly what this is referencing. And they're not hiding it. You just got to decode it, and that's how they're changing, or they're breaking the bridge by breaking our DNA or reassembling it. Okay. All right. The next one is a monkey, right? Remember, a monkey also means time. But the occult always use the monkey in the movies, usually for sickness. It represents the simian flu that we've seen in 12 Monkeys. Look, they even have the mask, pre-programming, predictive programming, and it symbolizes the simian flu, sickness. Whenever you see it, it's associated with sickness, some way, shape, or form, and also the timing. Right. Okay, so this one will be about numbers. I know I didn't pull up the numbers, but I can just verbally talk about the numbers. So you'll always see the number 19 in movies, and we know what that's connected to, COVID. You'll also see 9/11, or they'll hide it with cops, right? When cops show up, or the ringing or the sounding of the sirens, that's 9/11. All right. And those two numbers are directly connected to each other because of the symbology. So 9/11 becomes a symbolic representation of the two becoming one. The double helix, right, like the crashing or the changing of the DNA, infused with the serpent, meaning the one world tower, right? The two going down and then the one. And the reason why that's connected to COVID, because that's exactly what COVID does, or the 19, just like we just briefly touched on a second ago. All right, it's all a symbolic ritual of, of the serpent in the chest, the demonic possession, the two becoming one. All right, the AC standing in the holy place because the body is the temple. Okay, so this next one is the serpent in the chest. You'll see it in many variations. I saw one the other day where some guy was, I can't recall the movie because I just clicked on it, and it was a B movie, and I was like, I ain't gonna watch this. But it started off with this guy playing a video game with a machine gun, right? And then he had these powers where he can just control it psychically after a while. But the way they directed it, the machine gun was at the same location as his chest, and it was killing all the people. And that's just another representation of the serpent in the chest. And now you know what that symbolizes. Why they utilize, you know, whether it's the blue beetle, which that was on the back, but it still represents the same thing. Uh, if you recall that decode, um, And just to touch on the numbers thing again, there's plenty more numbers that I'll go over at different times. These are just like a, you know, the best of video, best of the symbology decoding. All right. Next up, we have the 4th of July sim, um, symbolism. And just like I said, the Sirius, the red, white, and blue, all that stuff comes from the star Sirius because it gives off the light red, white, and blue. The star does. So when we actually celebrate Independence Day, we're actually celebrating Sirius. It's no coincidence that I think it's 16 other countries celebrate their Independence Day on the same day we do. What are the odds of that? So you know that they're probably, or we are probably celebrating something else, and you can actually do a little light decode yourself and find out the exact same thing of what I'm talking about. There's other people with the same information out there. Um, it's a serious ritual. All the secular holidays, there's always some kind of undertone, some kind of secret demonic thing connected to them. Also, you'll see the meteorite in cinema always, and that usually symbolizes wormwood from the Bible, which is quote unquote allegorically sickness. So you'll see, like in the beginning of a movie, oh, a meteorite fell and then everybody got sick or turned into zombies or something like that. That's what that signifies. They're letting you know what time it is. Just like there was a meteorite right before COVID hit. It was the meteorite Atlas, by the way. So whenever you do see these worldwide meteorites, you should know that something is going to happen. And that's legitimate. Something worldwide, whether it be um, some countries go to war, whether a plague or a sickness breaks out, whether it be the simian flu or the CEV. You know, it's God's way of showing us a warning. All right, so the 4th of July programming, whether it be fireworks or a meteoroid or Independence Day, it's all serious ritual programming. Okay, the next one is the cat. All right, so in the Chinese calendar, I believe the cat didn't make it into the zodiac, and it was replaced by the rabbit. So the cat is the rabbit, and the rabbit is the cat. So in cinema, they mean the exact same thing, and you'll see them in the exact same locations. Just like in there's um, a series called I Am Virgo, which is really weird, right? Which are Revelation 12 sign symbolism. And then also so he has a poster in his room, and they always shoot him in front of the poster in place of the cat. So on this poster there's a giant cat with syringes on the top for some strange reason, and they always put his head in front of the cat. So it lets you know that the cat and the head mean the same thing, just like the rabbit does. And that's why you have the cat in the hat. So the cat is the rabbit and the rabbit is the cat. And it's also a time marker as well. The cat is, uh, I believe, in the Vietnamese calendar. He's legitimized and he's actually made it into their calendar. The occult use it one way, shape, or form. They either use it or they don't use it or they replace it. Just like in this particular um, instance, the cat and the rabbit mean the same thing. Okay, let's see what else do I got for the cat. All right, the next one is okay. So this one's going to be the Nevada symbol, the Revelation 12, the guillotine, and the syringe. This is a layered symbol, probably the heaviest layered symbol that I've found. and they usually mean the same thing, or it's just the sum of the whole thing. So the Nevada aspect, right? Your NV, you see it in this movie, NV. So this is just another way of the Nevada symbol. And why does the occult utilize the Nevada symbol? Is because the Nevada symbol looks like a syringe, it looks like a guillotine, and it's the heaviest. Um, the lithium, I think it has the biggest lithium mining um, um, aspect to it. Um, and then it's also the home of the City of Lights, right? So the electric god connection to it, Zeus or Apollo. Um, and that's why on this particular cover you see like the lightning strike, and it goes to envy, like Nevada, because Las Vegas is a city of lights, and that's connected to Apollo and Zeus and all that electricity. And then on top of that, it's the heaviest mined place for lithium. I think in America, it's the biggest, has the biggest lithium mine, or they're actually planning to make the biggest lithium mine there, which is kind of weird. And it reminds me of the Energizer Bunny, right? Lithium batteries. Okay. Okay. So also, so the syringe has that tip, that Nevada tip, and then if you see Nevada, it actually even has like a little, a profile of the syringe tip. Sorry, my computer's really touchy. And then the guillotine. So why? Why do they use the guillotine? Or why is the guillotine associated to that? Because the guillotine connects us to revelations, right? Meaning, okay, so the syringe, the syringe tip, Nevada, is your Apollo association. It's your syringe tip, which cuts us off, our heads off, right? Cuts us off at the head from connecting to our God spiritually. And there's been record accounts of people after taking the old syringe, being they felt like they were cut off from God, and spiritually our heads are being cut off. That's how it connects us to Revelation. So that's how this symbol is it's heavily loaded, and that's how this symbol is layered and connected to each other, all from envy to the guillotine to the syringe, or the syringe is the guillotine, and it's all connected to the NV, more like the NV in the middle, and then the lightning strike. And in this particular movie, you have, right, they're like Gemini friends, and then you have your white horse, you have your poison, you have your poison arrow, all that stuff in this, and then you even have your allegorical V, which is, you even have your little dog, right? The dog, the backwards god, and your V, Pooh Rise. Even a little bit of a sodomite gateway kind of language there. Um, I want to do a decode on this movie for y'all, so just give me some time and I will, because you might be left in the dark if you never watch this movie. But you can just see the symbolism just off the pictures alone. It's undeniable. Always got your dog, got your V, Pooh, Rise, you got your sodomite language, you have your envy, your Gemini, and then you have your lightning strike. And then if you have watched the movie, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The one of the main characters is a white horse, and uh, he dies of basically an arrow, poison tips. Yeah. Anyway, keep on going. I know that's probably a tough pill to swallow on the symbolism, but it's there. You'll see it. You'll see those shapes in the movie somehow, some way, some shape or form. You will. I've pointed them out in previous decodes or previous videos on other movies. This is just another way that they utilize it. All right. Oh, here's the. It's also connected to the Revelation 12 sign, which, and the reason why it's connected to that is because um, it's the arrival, right? The arrival of the Antichrist, according to Revelation 12, right? You have the dragon and all that stuff infused with this symbol, going after the woman and all that stuff. All right. All right. The next one is flowers. So they love to use orchids or especially lilies. And what the orchid represents is the poison, is the toxin, right? It's just another way of saying it. And then the lily represents the upcoming generation, right? The toxin generation, meaning the babies that are born after COVID infused, right? And that you'll always see a lily in the background during the right time of the movie. Usually when there's children around or something like that. Okay, the next one is copper. I know a penny is not made from copper, made out of copper, but in cinema they utilize the penny for a multiple for multiple reasons. Um, Meaning the copper, we call it a copper penny, right? So it symbolizes copper, but it also symbolizes linking, right? So linking one time to another. Okay, and the copper aspect represents like the copperhead, right? The serpent, and also like um, just like linking from one time to another, like copper wiring, right? Like traversing time and space. Um, Copper has a lot of weird elements to it, weird magnetic elements to it. It's pretty cool. Get into that at a different time, but that's what that symbolizes. They utilize also too, like police officers in cinema in replacement for the copper because it's a cop, right? Or a copper, or they'll use a sheriff, so that's being associated to the serpent. It's only symbology. It doesn't mean like real coppers in real life or blue-blooded serpents. No, they're not. So it's just the occult warps everything and uses what they can for symbolism. Okay, so next brings us to the ribbon, right? A ribbon is a strand. Um, just like Apollo and his arrows, Apollo carries the bow and arrow, right? So the bow represents like DNA, the arrow is the toxin. So the bow is a strip, right? Just like when you put a bow around your neck, it's just one strip and you just tie it into a bow. Well, the ribbon is the exact same thing. So you'll see this ribbon throughout cinema. You'll see it in Back to the Future. When Doc throws it out of the little DeLorean UFO, he saves Marty with the ribbon, right? The DNA. Then you have your white horse back here, see? And then these also qualify and count as ribbon. And that's why there's a red and a blue one, because it's about, you know, altering the DNA or mixing of. And then you have your white horse, even with your kind of like a serpent in the chest of the white horse. But it's there. So the ribbon signifies DNA, and you'll see it throughout movies. Um, yeah. Okay. Uh, Last but not least, on this particular decode, I'll do probably a lot more on these because there are more um, trigger symbols out here. But these are the important ones. These are the ones that will get you started. So when you watch your next movie, you'll be able to identify. You'll be able to decode the movie pretty well, you know, without having to rely on somebody else decoding it for you. And therefore, you can break the spell. And now you're discerning movies, not watching them, and you can get, you can tell the others around you and show them all the encoded symbolism throughout movies. So another popular one is the AC or the AV. So the air conditioner or the air vent. They symbolize obviously the AC, right? And if you turn the AV clockwise about to 9 o'clock, you'll see that the V becomes a C, right? So it's just another way of saying AC. AV is AC, and it also represents the divine male, divine female, occult, new age ritual bullcrap, right? Okay, so that's pretty much what I have today. Be mindful of these things. Um, that way you can break the spell. That way we're not hypnotized to do things that we don't want to do, take things that we don't want to take. Um, Same thing, same applies for music and media too. You can utilize a lot of these principles there. Um, but also be mindful of these things that we put in our bodies and our minds because we don't know what they do. We don't know if our actions are really ours or not. Just like a hypnotist, that's what these people do. And we're supposed to be, protected by, our governments and stuff like that. But it seems like nobody besides people in the truth community are saying anything about this programming. And we don't know what the desired outcome is. Well, actually, we do, you know, but it's crazy. It's crazy times out there. It's dangerous. Be mindful of this stuff. Show and tell your friends about the programming and movies, and so they can wake up out of this too. And that should motivate us, right? All this dark stuff should motivate us to get saved. And if you haven't been saved, get saved immediately. And what helps breaks what help breaks the spell, not even help, what does it is getting saved. I couldn't discern movies. I was completely hypnotized before I got saved. When I got saved, man, everything just changed. My understanding of the world, being able to discern movies and music, um, voting and all that stuff goes out the window. You know that you're consenting when you vote. All that stuff, man. It's when you get saved, it just wakes you up from the slumber, man. And so I'm trying to wake you up through God, man. God's telling me to tell you, and this is how you do it right here. Get saved. And it's more than just reading these verses. Feel it in your heart and your soul. Um, but it starts off by saying these things, by reading them, by understanding them. If you're interested in getting baptized and all that stuff too, there's that's God's ritual of cleansing. It's very important because just like Noah was baptized, right? The, the world was cleansed and became new again, and that's the whole point of you know being baptized, by cleansing yourself. And you don't need someone else to baptize you. You can go in your tub and have the Holy Spirit baptize you, work through you. You know, just tell God to guide you on what you need to know to be baptized. All you got to do is just go in the tub and say, God, please cleanse me. Um, and then confess with your mouth that the Lord Jesus, and believe in your heart that raised him from the dead. You should be saved. Okay, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you like this video.